Time to do some catching up on a few movie reviews. I was super busy working on my 2022 music list, but during that time I got to watch a reissue of Grave of the Fireflies, which was part of the 2025 Studio Ghibli Fest. If you're not aware, Studio Ghibli is doing some theatrical runs for several of their films. Near the time of this video's release, Howl's Moving Castle will be playing, and in October they have Spirited Away going. These are both films I grew up with, but Grave of the Fireflies was one of the less kid-friendly ones you'd see from the studio, so I never got a chance to see it. All I knew was that it's more serious and almost universally praised. It details a boy and his young sister trying to navigate the desolation of late-stage World War II Japan, and that's about all you really need to know. Let me tell you, this is probably the most crying I've heard in a theater, maybe ever. And I was sitting basically in the front row, so it was like a symphony of sniffles behind me. I didn't think it would get me. I truly didn't. But maybe in the last minute or so, and then when the credits rolled, yeah, it got me pretty good. I was walking out of there and leaving the theater like that one scene in Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey drives away from the house. I left that place looking like the littlest bitch in all the land. This now joins a somewhat exclusive club of movies that have made me cry. We've got Dear Zachary, Mommy, and welcome, Grave of the Fireflies. That's 3 now. I'm discovering that many people refer to this as the greatest movie they'll never watch again. It's definitely bleak and heart-wrenching, but it's also so beautiful and careful at the same time, which kind of makes the perfect concoction for tugging at anybody's heartstrings. The music is phenomenal and totally adds an extra emotional gravity to it all. The animation is stunning. This was released in 1988, so the amount of work that went into this, so cool. I don't know if I can go much further without a spoilers and analysis tag, so here's your warning. Okay, so, fun fact, we were actually 10 minutes late to our showing for this because AMC literally put on the stub, please allow 25 to 30 minutes for previews, and then they didn't play any previews apparently. We even got there what you'd consider early for most movies. So yeah, and if you know anything about the start of this movie, it somewhat reveals the fate of our characters. That being said, I was maybe more optimistic for these children than I had any business being. We walked right in when the first bomb raid started, so we figured we didn't miss much. Boy was I wrong, and boy did I have a different experience than you'd expect. Am I glad I saw it this way? Maybe. I went home and checked out what we missed on Netflix. It's on Netflix right now, by the way, and I still took away the same feelings. The message of this film was fairly straightforward to me. Beauty, happiness, and life in general is so short-lived and fragile. Cherish it while you can, because many, many others had their lights burn out too soon. This whole story shows how fleeting life and joy can be. What's more, serenity and bliss can truly be found in even the simplest of moments and the darkest of times. You can see this contrast in everything the film does. Even the visuals are dueling, trading between images of pure destruction and sweeter, softer tranquility. I've seen a lot of average Reddit dweebs talk about how this is all an allegory for Japan's role in the war and how pride, ego, and the inability to let themselves be humbled cost many innocent people their lives, because that's the moment where Seda essentially decides to leave their aunt. A lot of people find this to be his damning decision that cost them everything, but I don't know. To say that Seda didn't go back because of pride is a very misguided take. She made it crystal clear how unwanted and burdensome these kids were. I 100% get why they left that house. They were just children who felt unwanted and like they were buying time anyway. I think you'd feel that way too, based off how callous and uncaring she was. I even feel like Seda was still reconsidering their decision until Setsuko admitted to him that their aunt revealed their mother's death to her so bluntly. I'd also assert that this implies the failures of the system and human enacted hierarchy in general. It's either sit down, be complacent, docile, and belittled with it, or let go of and die without it. Many are subject to this abusive power relationship, even now. One could almost make the argument that we all are. I feel horrible for any innocent souls who tried to make their own sense of freedom and were failed by the broken, inhumane establishment. That's part of the reason why this gets my emotional center so much. we still struggle to do this, just like the kids did here. Their government is off fighting wars and protecting the higher class agendas instead of maybe caring for their people like they're supposed to. No one actually ever asks for this. They're just trying to live their lives. I think one of the more interesting and less talked about story beats is how Seda eventually starts relying on his own country's losses just so he can sneak into town and take what they need to survive. Ain't that a bitch? Isn't the system, hierarchy, and class such a fucked up thing? But I'll save that for other reviews. I'm already sort of harping on that in my Lighthouse analysis. I think this film was mainly just arguing about the vulnerability of our lives. In the ending sequence, Seda looks directly at the fucking audience to remind them how quickly everything you care about can go away. Our final shot is them sitting on a bench amongst the light of the Fireflies, now paired with the lights of the city. Something that both came at the cost of many lives, but also something that contains many lives currently. Light, a symbol for life and passion, a city containing lots of lights. It too carries snapshots of beauty that could be taken away without notice. Even in our modern world, where it seems so easy to forget nowadays, we can't neglect how delicate life remains to be. We have to treasure life's simplest, sweetest drops of comfort while we still have them left. The candy tin serves as a metaphor for this exact point. You could also see this whole thing as a lesson about being grateful for what you have and that we don't live in times of desperation, but I'd argue that catastrophe comes just as swift and unforgiving even in the present. I mean, we can't act like this very thing isn't happening to kids in Palestine right now. So yeah, did I have any issues with this film? A few technical ones, maybe. I watched the original version with subtitles, and sometimes the audio, especially from the child actor, wasn't used the best. There was also maybe a few tiny plot nitpicks I have, but basically I'm comfortable calling this a sensationally powerful and excellent film. I will be giving this a 9 out of 10. Like I said, it's on Netflix right now, so if you're sad that you missed out and want to subject yourself to it, you can become even more sad at home. This has honestly reminded me to check out the other half of Studio Ghibli movies I have yet to see. Maybe I should stop fucking around and watching shit like War of the Worlds. There's your little post-credit scene. There's a little preview as to what's coming next. Okay, bye.